continuing with our series on St. Patrick's Day menu items. We're going to do an Irish apple cake with a custard sauce. It's delicious. It's a little bit of work, but it's worth it. In my bowl, I have 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 heaping tablespoon of baking powder. I have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and about a little under a teaspoon of allspice or pumpkin pie spice or apple pie spice, which is what I'm using. You want something with a spice element. I really like this from Pinsy's. I also have a ½ teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to give that a whisk, and I will post the recipe at the end also. I'm going to just give that a whisk together. Now what you want to do with this is put in 2 sticks of butter. And the way I do my butter, instead of cutting it in with a pastry cutter or with a knife or a fork, I use my handy dandy cheese grater. I do that for my biscuits, if I do a pastry that has butter, and of course with this. And you just put your butter in the freezer for a few minutes, and then you can just grate it on a hand grater if you have one of those. But I love my little grater. I use it all the time. Set that aside. Now I'm just going to toss this together to distribute the butter. This is where you can use the tools God gave you and get your hands in there if you like that. And I do sometimes, but it's messy. So I'm going to do it this way. Should have had an apron on and got busy and didn't do it. I feel stuff flicking me. That's okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is add our wet ingredients to this. Nope. First we're going to do our apples. Get you 3 Granny Smith apples. This is 2. My husband was fixing the kids' breakfast this morning while I was doing the girls' hair. And he didn't realize those 3 beautiful green apples sitting there were for this recipe. That's okay. We have 2, and that's plenty. It will do. Just use a tart apple. And you want to kind of coat your apples with your dry ingredients. Do you know what that does? It keeps them suspended in the batter and they don't all sink to the bottom. Do that with your nuts, your fruit, anytime you're adding something like that into your banana bread or zucchini bread or your cakes, even your cookies, you can do that with. Okay, next we're going to do wet ingredients. I've got 4 egg yolks. To that, I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. You can use half and half. You can use heavy cream. I'm using whole milk. And we should have had vanilla, and I need to grab that. Okay, 2 teaspoons of vanilla going in. 1, 2. Sometimes you can just measure with your heart like that, and it's okay. Give it a whisk. You'll notice this doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, and that's okay. We're going to put a little bit of a topping on it, and we will have a vanilla custard sauce to pour across it. It is a sweet, it can be a coffee cake. You can use it for an afternoon tea or your dessert, however you want to do it. And it's not one of those overly sweet desserts that you just think, oh, it's good, but it's too much. This is just right. Okay, we're going to pour this together. And like a biscuit that you don't want to get tough, this is the same thing. You want to quickly mix it and then leave it alone, right? So I've got my spatula here. This will be very thick, and that's okay because all of those apples are going to release moisture into this, and it would be too wet if we added more liquid. I'm telling you, it looks thick and dry, but that's okay. That's how you want it. Trust me on this one. Quick stir just to get the flour incorporated. If we over stir it and keep stirring, what we do is activate the gluten in the flour, which you don't want to do, because that's what will make it tough. Okay, now you want to use a springform pan because again, a cake pan with this really thick, dense batter, it kind of gets it hard to get out. So if you use a springform pan, it's nice because you can just take the sides right off of that and pop it right out of your pan, just like so. I have sprayed with nonstick spray, and then I use some parchment to help get this out. And you put it right in your pan, and we're going to bake it on 375 degrees for a long time, like an hour and 10, an hour and 15 minutes until it's completely done. In the center, you know, your normal test, you stick a toothpick in the center to see if it comes out. And I feel like with this, it does better if you have a spatula that you can just kind of get it in this pan evenly. Again, I prepared 375 oven, but we're going to put a little bit of a crunchy bite on top of this. Almost gives it almost a streusel effect. Do you ever use turbinado sugar? That's what we're going to do. Let's make sure this is even. You want it to bake evenly. There you go. Again, super thick. You're going to think this isn't right. Yes, yes it is. Trust the process. Now, I have about 3 or 4 tablespoons of raw sugar, the turbinado sugar. You can get it at any grocery store, Walmart, Kroger, any of those places. And I think you can even get it at Sam's Club and maybe Costco. And this gives it a crispy bite on top, a crunch. It also gives it a little more sweetness, which again, there's not a lot of sweetness in it compared to a lot of desserts. We're going in the oven at 375. Let's make a custard sauce for our Irish cream cake in a heavy bottom saucepan. You don't want a thin, kind of inexpensive saucepan or it will burn. It has to be a thick bottom. This is from a pressure cooker set. I've had it for like 40 years and I use it all the time. 1/2 cup sugar and 1 cup of heavy cream. Milk can curdle on you in this recipe, so it's best to use heavy cream. Get a whisk, start whisking over medium heat. You can turn this up actually to about medium high. Bring it just up to a boil. And when you do that, we're gonna temper up these eggs and bring them up to temperature and put it back in the pan. When your cream and sugar are just about to boil, you wanna take it off the heat, reduce your heat to a low to medium. And you want to slowly incorporate this warm mixture into your eggs. We're tempering the eggs. We're making them be able to stand the heat without scrambling. Nobody wants scrambled egg custard, I don't think, and pour on top of their Irish apple cake. So we're just gonna incorporate this, and then we're gonna put it back on the heat, and we are going to stir it the entire time, probably about 5 minutes or more, until it becomes thick and luscious. And then we're going to add some butter and vanilla. And we're gonna have a delightful vanilla custard sauce. Now adding this mixture that's been tempered very slowly back to the heat. Again, you have to stir constantly or you end up with scrambled eggs. And it's probably a good idea if you want to strain this after it's done. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If I feel like there's anything suspicious looking, I'll give it a quick strain through a strainer and just to be sure. Okay, I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Now that it's been about 6 minutes, you can see I've switched to a spoon. It's nice and thick, and you can tell by the way it clings to the back of your spoon. Can you see that? Let me move this off the heat and show you. See that? And it doesn't come back together. It leaves a line. You'll know it's thick enough. Turn your heat off. Remove it from your heat. And now you want to add 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter and about a teaspoon of vanilla. This is what really flavors your custard. So far you're just milk, cream, and egg. And you don't want it to taste all eggy, correct? So put your butter, which just makes it even silkier. The vanilla gives it some good flavor. Now we're gonna get a little tasting spoon. That's what we're gonna do. There we go. You should smell my house right now between this and the Irish apple cake that's cooking, baking. It just smells wonderful in here. That is so good. That is so, so good. It's perfect. It will increase the sweetness, but to just the right amount on that apple cake, the Irish apple cake. Here you go. I'll show you when it's completely finished. Okay, our Irish apple cake is out of the oven. Our vanilla custard sauce is ready to drizzle. I'm gonna let this set for a few minutes. It's already been out for a little while. I took the sides off the springform pan. I'm gonna cut a piece and show you what it looks like.